Sorry, I just wanted to be clear about the question.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
About leaders who place self-interest above the interests of, the group, or what is right, and pursuit of their own agendas. Yeah.
I just want to say that some of the superficial unity that we have is based on cultural things rather than religious and spirituality. Right? So the point is that if we are connected with each other because we are connected to Allah, as we put the mention, and therefore, but the cultural things, we feel a sense of commonness among each other, but they're not really not important in the sight of Allah.
You want to say?
I suppose. So what you're asking is if this is the reality that some of our leadership places self-interest above the interests of the community, what do we do about that?
Yeah.
What do we do about that?
How can we correct that?
How can we correct that?
Is there something we can do about it?
Well, I'm not one for removing leadership. I don't think that's the right way. I think Ahmed Sirhindi, the great Mujaddid of India, he engaged in a reform project in India of the Mughal Empire. Instead of trying to depose the leaders of India, he started to reform the court, the Indian royal court, and it was because of his efforts that we had people like Aurangzeb being produced in India, who ruled India for 50 years or so. And some people like Sheikh Ali Tantawi even said that Aurangzeb was the sixth Khalifa Rashida, right? That was how much he held him in esteem. So we have to try and reform our leadership, I think, and advise them in the best manner possible. But I suppose, I think what I would say is that pressure needs to come from the masses. If the pressure comes from us, that look, we're not going to accept really. Again, going back to the women's prayer issue and mosque issue, the same muftis and scholars in England perhaps might take the position that women shouldn't come to the mosques. Whereas if they're in America, that wouldn't be the case. Generally in America, as far as I'm told, and for people who've been there, people I know who visited there, that isn't the case, that the mosques are open to women. And the reason is because from the masses there expect a certain thing. So I think that you'll only get the leaders that you deserve perhaps sometimes, and we as people need to reform ourselves. And Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah doesn't change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. The leaders are just a reflection of us, really. And if we were, and this is the whole project. The project is, how do we change the masses? How do we change everybody? And I think that's how it should work. So I think there needs to be a combination of trying to reform from the top by educating the top and by speaking and by advising. And I think there should be also an effort at reforming the ground level as well. And I think this is there's no short solutions, there's no silver bullet, there's no panacea. It's a long-term effort, and when that effort takes place and things start changing on the ground, then we'll see some fruits at the top as well, maybe, inshallah. And until then, we do our best, perhaps.
One little thing is that the good teacher empowers his students or her students to be as good as the teacher or better. All right? So I feel good if I know my student is doing better than me. I have seen many of my students went on to be great people internationally, and I feel good about that. On the other hand, there are some scholars who want to make their students dependent on them, right? And therefore, they want to remain on that pedestal. And therefore, every time you want an opinion, you have to get the scholar's position on it. So that is the problem. The problem is the system of education, of teaching people Islam, to empower them, to make them independent, critical thinkers, rather than to be dependent on the sheikhs for every judgment and every position. So it's how we structure our education.
So it's about creating a dependency.
Of course, of course.
Yes, brother.
Anyone has any questions or would like to respond to any of the comments? Let me give this sister, just 1 second. I just want to give this sister a chance.
I just want to make a comment, when it comes to like the scholars and people from, us at the lower rungs of the hill rather than. The problem is we have become lazy, right? And
We have become
we have become lazy.
lazy. Okay.
The majority of the times, things are started when the majority of somebody on the street can report you ahead. But what about what the Quran says? We totally forgot about reading. We have said, okay, scholars went to read about Islam. They know better than us. We keep doing this.
So
That's where the problem is. And when we become lazy, what will the leaders do?
okay.
So now we have to start back where we start encouraging people to read Quran, encouraging people to understand what Allah is saying to you. If we have differences among people, if we have differences within the madhab, what makes sense? Do you understand? Because for myself, my husband is Maliki, I am following Imam Maliki. What we try to incorporate is that sometimes
What? No, I don't know what time to finish. Half 6.
And I can follow okay there. So we try to have this open communication where we question stuff, we read about the Quran, and we probably need to go back to the understanding the whole family, and we have to embrace differences.
Just so there's another sister. I want to give the sisters a chance here. Yeah. Go ahead. So you want to respond?
I just want to share a few points. Number one, I think within the Caribbean context, Guyana, so forth, people go in and study deen. 7 or 8 years, coming back as the area authority, there is a deficiency in our religious evolution, because there are issues that are more complex than the mere usulul fiqh and ulumul hadith and ulumul quran and hanafi fiqh and maliki fiqh, that are more complex, more intricate, that need higher level of analysis and studies and there's one. Number two, many Muslim groups, they don't have people who are religiously, even at a minimum level, educated. So, what methodology, what approach, or what have you, is more that I'm the boss, I'm the president, or what have you, so there's one issue. I believe that we need to look at, to go forward, we have to take a few approaches. One, the people who have this openness and understanding and tolerance and what have you, they have to work together and bringing the masses, empower the sisters more as system empower them. So they will have a space. We will have to help them to create space. We have to create that space. Either those people who believe they are this ivory tower, they will have to come down and interact,